Yo, what's good, everybody? I know it's been a little minute. I've been on load management because life has been lifing, but I wanted to bring back some content that I did a couple of weeks ago about my plan to fix tanking. Now, the reason I'm bringing this back is because, well, I don't know if you saw this weekend, but the Utah Jazz found a unique way, I guess, to tank, if you will. In the past, they have created, fake injury reports with Lauri Markkanen in his back when he really wasn't hurt. So what they decided to do this year is they're going to play their players, but then they will bench them in the fourth quarter. They had a game against the Magic. They were pretty competitive for the most of the game, but in the fourth quarter, they sat their best players in a game that ended up losing late. And so between them, the Wizards, and lots of other teams, there's going to be a lot of tanking happening down the latter 30 games of the season, because I don't know if you guys have been watching college basketball, but there are a lot of really talented players. And I think that this particular class is on paper being heralded as one of the best classes in NBA history. Again, on paper. But be that as it may, teams are going to be finding ways to lose games in the most creative fashions as we head down the stretch, because they want to improve their lottery odds in hopes of getting a top 3 or top 5 pick. That is how deep people think this class is. At minimum, it is at least 5 deep. And so teams are going to be doing their best, as I said. And so I want to bring back this content. Check it out. I'm going to be promoting it. I hope to be able to get at least one more piece of content commentary for this week in the NBA as we head into the All-Star break. And then as we come out of the All-Star break, get back into the regularly scheduled program of dropping once a week. So I thank you guys for your patience. I'll be talking a little bit more about that in my next drop. But please check this out, my solution to fix tanking in the NBA. The NBA is kicking around some ideas that, if enacted, would seek to curb late season tanking by teams looking to protect picks or improve draft odds. The proposals aren't coming completely out of left field. These ideas are being presented in the wake of the charges being levied against Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, and Chauncey Billups. While not listed by name, Billups is believed to be the co-conspirator who gave inside information of a team that was tanking and resting players. In today's NBA, we think of tanking as much a part of the game as dunks and three-pointers. You might also assume that tanking is a relatively new phenomenon in the league, but tanking has always been a problem in the NBA. As a matter of fact, the draft lottery was created as an anti-tanking measure. Yo, Fredro, tell them what we about to do.
Do the knowledge, nigga.
Do the knowledge we shall. Back in the day, the teams with the worst record in the Western and Eastern Conference had a 50% chance to win the first pick in the draft. That's because they flipped a coin to do it. I can just see David Stern looking like Smack White, flipping a coin and telling 2 GMs,
"Everything good. Nobody move. Nobody get hurt. Let's get it.
Everything good.
Everything good."
One of the more famous instances of tanking occurred in 1983, when the Rockets bottomed out and won the coin flip that allowed them to select Hakeem Olajuwon in the '84 draft. This blatant gaming of the system led to bad games late in the season, which led to fan and media complaints. Sound familiar? The draft lottery was instituted to give losing teams better odds at the top pick instead of a near guarantee. But this didn't stop teams from shamelessly tanking for future stars. Some were more shameless about this than others. Listen to Mark Cuban admit on national radio and TV that they sabotaged their season to improve their draft odds.
Once we were eliminated from the playoffs, we did everything possible to lose games.
How did you tank? How do you
play all your young players?
Okay, that was it. But there is it you send out a memo, or you just say
no, because once the guy walks on the court, they're going to play their heart out. Particularly the young guys, because they have something to prove.
Cuban would go on another podcast and admit to tanking again the next year, and in response, the league fined the Mavs $600,000. He even wondered aloud once why the Thunder didn't tank the year KD and Russell Westbrook were injured to start the season. Bro was wildin'. Moving on. Other notorious tank jobs included back in '96 when multiple teams tanked for Tim Duncan, a race to the bottom that the Spurs ultimately won. It's believed that Cleveland tanked for LeBron in '03, but by far the most infamous tank job in NBA history belongs to the Sam Hinkie-led 76ers. Dubbed the process, the Sixers would engage in 4 years' worth of losing in hopes of drafting multiple high picks to compete. During that 4-year stretch, they would draft Michael Carter-Williams, Joel Embiid, Jahlil Okafor, and Ben Simmons in the first round. The results, depending on who you ask, were a mixed bag to a complete failure. Embiid would become a future MVP, and Ben Simmons made 1 All-NBA and 2 defensive teams. But the team never reached a conference finals, let alone an NBA finals. In recent years, the Wizards and Jazz have engaged in multi-year tank jobs that have yet to pay real dividends. But our current champion and overlords, the OKC Thunder, have shown what successful tanking looked like. After trading away Paul George and Russell Westbrook, the team tanked for 2 years, resulting in Josh Giddey and Chet Holmgren. To be clear, there were a ton of other things that the Thunder got right, starting with the trade of Paul George that got them SGA in return. But they did hit on the right players in both rounds of the draft. They properly scouted and developed two-way signings. But make no mistake, tanking was a part of their process. Now that we did our history, let's get into my plan to fix tanking and the competitiveness of the games late in the NBA season.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
First, we're abolishing the draft. Yes, the draft was instituted to curb teams from blatantly tanking. But as I've laid out before you, teams have found ways to game the system and tank anyway. The NBA in the 1980s realized radical change had to happen when they instituted the lottery. They need to realize that the time for more radical change is needed now and do away with the lottery system. In its wake, my bold plan is to institute a draft tournament. At the conclusion of the play-in, the 14 teams who missed the playoffs would engage in a single elimination tournament with the winner getting the number 1 pick. The best teams with the best record who lost in the play-in would get a bye to the quarterfinals, as they would have already played 2 more additional games than the rest of the field. Yes, I do understand that there would be 2 more play-in teams who would be at a rest disadvantage, but I can't have all 4 teams who lost in the play-in sit out. It would make for this weird double bye situation that would require reseeding and a possible mid-tourney play-in. If there's one thing I learned from last year's NBA All-Star format and the college football playoff, simplicity is key when creating your tournament. As teams are eliminated, they will be seeded by record, with the worst teams getting the better draft slot. The final 4 games would take place at a neutral site, with the winner and runner-up getting the first and second overall pick respectively. Why do this? It forces teams to put the best product on the floor in every game. No more sitting players to protect a pick or to improve draft position. It will force organizations to be better at scouting, development, and invest in proper staffing if they want to be a better team. If you trade a pick and put a protection on it, you'll need to win in the draft tourney to keep it from going to the other team. It puts a premium on winning, even for teams that aren't ready to contend for a title yet, and gives those teams something to play for in down years. There is a minor risk that teams in the play-in may attempt to tank to give themselves a shot at winning the draft tourney, but those teams can bank on winning, as they wouldn't be head and shoulders above the other lottery teams. Additionally, can you imagine the drama when a team that has traded away its pick has to play on behalf of other teams? Why would they do that, you ask?
Show me the money. That's it, brother, but you got to yell that shit. Show me the money. I need to feel you, Jerry. Show me the money. Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money.
For each round the teams advance, the financial incentive increases. The payout will follow the NBA Cup model. For players making close to the max, that's not a lot of money. But for vet minimum guys, rookies, and players on 2-way deals, that money means something to them. Also, check out what the best paid players on the Knicks did for the members of their support staff.
A number of the Knicks, the highest paid players, the top guys, gave a significant chunk of their winnings to staff members who didn't get bonus money. Mike Brown did as well. Gave a big chunk of what he won in the NBA Cup to members of his coaching staff.
Now, I can hear some of you asking, why would players play hard for their future replacements? Yes, the money, but they'll also be playing in standalone games to showcase why their current team should keep them, or auditioning for their next squad. The final reason why this idea will work?
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
This would give the NBA what they call in the industry extra inventory. They can sell this tournament to their media partners at NBC, ESPN, or Amazon to be broadcast on multiple entities, or make it the exclusive home of one network. The games will be broadcast prior to the start of the play-in and during the off days of the first round to avoid overlap. You can have the final game followed by 30 minutes to a full hour of draft coverage once your draft order has been fully set. This would give talk shows additional content. This also gives more fodder for the mock draft industry to react to and more content for social media. To be clear, sports are competition that can be entertaining. But in a world where people are viewing sports as entertainment, the NBA will be upping the entertainment value in games that matter in the now and the future of the league. So to recap, this is how we'll curb tanking in the NBA. First, abolish the NBA draft. What was created to be an anti-tanking tool hasn't really stopped teams. They've just gotten more creative in how they do it. 2, create the draft tourney. This will force organizations to be better top to bottom and engage the fan base throughout the entire season. 3rd, add a financial incentive to the games. The players getting paid will incentivize them to play hard and not go through the motions. It also ups the entertainment value for the league and gives them extra games to sell to their media partners. So, what do you think? What would you do to curb tanking in the NBA? Yo, appreciate you checking that out. Jump in the comments, man. I would love to hear from y'all, your solutions on fixing tanking, your response to my solution to fixing tanking. And let's continue this conversation both on YouTube and at Twitter. You can find me on Twitter by searching @BrainsandBars. That is all one word, @BrainsandBars. And let's have this convo, man. I think it is one that needs to be solution minded, right? We need to come up with solutions instead of just complaining. And hopefully if we can settle on one as a community, maybe we can push that towards Adam Silver. I'm not going to lie to you. I would love for my idea to make it to Adam Silver because I do think it would make for a very interesting tournament, especially when you have a draft class as loaded as this one, where people think there are multiple generational prospects in it. So again, hit the like button. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can tap in and know more about This Week in NBA. And I will be seeing y'all hopefully later on this week with another drop. Y'all be easy.